So, Arianne, we agreed, what, a year ago or more, that like when we hang out for like dinner and going out and like we are now, that we were not going to talk shop.
I know, but I know you can't help yourself sometimes. It just always comes up.
Yeah. With that said, though, I actually do want to ask you how, I don't think I've asked you this yet, but it's nearly a year since we're dealing with this pandemic. Would you be willing to just, how's it going? How's it going for you?
Wow, that's a great question, and I'll say it's been going. It's been a difficult year, I'd say. Taking things day by day, week by week, month by month, seeing how things could, waiting for them to get better. I'd say working from home was challenging. It was very difficult. And not being able to see my friends or go out like I used to, I felt very trapped.
One of the craziest things working from home, okay, so I'm working at home, you're working at home, and next thing you know, the vacuum cleaner's running.
Oh, and Tribble's barking. The dog is always barking.
And somebody's knocking at the door. This was crazy.
Yeah, it was very frustrating, and I found myself waiting. Okay, this will be over next month, maybe in 2 months, and just pushing and pushing, and not giving myself permission to take a break from work or to relax. And I felt really tensed up as I came to the end of the year, and even now I'm starting to give myself permission to go back to some of those things.
I remember the office talking about this pandemic, and we said to ourselves, June, May, June, we'll be over this thing. It's crazy, and yet here we are in March, a year later, and it's just frustrating. But what's it been like for you to shift from, you're in the office full time, and then you're full time at home, and then you started going back to the office. What was that like?
I'd say it was hard because I felt like I was never in one place fully. Like it felt like half of my work was at home, half of my work was in the office, and I was trying to go back in between to get things done. But eventually, I think it was August where I said, okay, I just need to go back. And so I completely just went back to the office, and it felt a little normal for a little bit. But then again, I was by myself, the cubicles were empty, the office is empty, and it just felt lonely. I wasn't able to go to church. I didn't have Sabbath school, didn't have Saturday night volleyball. None of those normal connections were there, and it just felt really lonely.
It's been frustrating, and the people I work with, it's been frustrating. A lot of internet. We've shifted from face-to-face meetings to internet meetings, and that's really gotten old after a while. But
Zoom fatigue.
Yeah, right. I'm curious, what are the bright spots? I mean, can you share maybe one of the bright spots that's developed for you in this past year?
Yeah, sure. I'd say this last year in transitioning from home to the office and back and forth, and it's allowed some projects to develop which have really tugged on my soul and have been really made me really passionate about what I'm doing at work.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, what was it?
Yeah, sure. So our at work, we've been able to develop some partners and relationships that for me are very important, because I feel like when you connect organizations with other organizations that have similar values, that's so important. And that's where I feel too, if I'm not connected, it's hard sometimes. So that's been one thing that's been really good, keeping me on fire. But then also getting back to some weekend activities. I love that our family has gone sailing on the boat. We were able to work on that. Yeah. I think was good good medicine for our soul when we were fixing the boat, and then got to go on the water together.
Yeah, I've told you before that without that project in the garage to work on, my sanity would have been far worse. Yeah. But finally, getting out on the water was pretty awesome. So, I'm concerned because, as a pastor, as a leader in my church, and as administrator with our conference, I'm concerned about how our youth and young adults, and of course the rest of our church too, but really more specifically, how our youth and young adults, how can they, or what would happen rather, if they could embrace the positive thing of that God is in this. What could happen? What might be a positive? I mean, I'm not trying to deny the negative and the challenges here, but just to say, okay, let's take a moment and explore what are the possibilities here as well. I fully respect the need to deal with the hardship we're facing, the losses, and quite frankly, deaths.
Absolutely.
I fully embrace the need to minister to those things. At the same time, though, I believe there need to be voices that are saying, we need to still be human, still live, still thrive, because God is in this too. So I mean,
can still be me and protect others and myself. And giving yourself permission to strive for those things, whether it's at church, in your personal life, or at work, to not feel locked up that you have to stay home. Yes, still stay safe, but there are opportunities to take care of yourself, wellness, and to socialize with others, and to progress in work, for example.
Okay, so tell me what happened just recently. You went to some place and there was a whole bunch of people. How did that happen?
Right.
What was it?
Oh, the Saturday night thing that
I think
did?
it was Saturday night, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Oh man, I was invited to come play volleyball. I was actually tricked into coming to play. It was really funny. I thought it was just going to be a little get together of maybe 12 people, and I think there was over 200 people in the gym. And it really flipped me out to see that many people there.
200 people during a pandemic? What's with that?
Yeah, but it was...
What was the energy in the room?
Oh, it was so good. There were many families and kids there, and people were selling food, but still keeping a distance and trying to keep each other safe. No like hellos from a distance, but it felt so good to see people. And I've not played volleyball in over a year, and it was something that I really craved.
What did that do for you?
Oh, it made me say, I really wish that we could go back to playing volleyball. There's got to be a way to do it, safely. And again, I think it just gets back to, we have the opportunity to go above and beyond and not limit ourselves by what's in front of us. This is an obstacle, yes, that we're all going through, but not waiting for a call from someone to be active and go do something. That there's opportunity to connect with others, and not waiting for someone else, but being active in that.
Do you think youth and young adults of faith are able to see God through this pandemic? Absolutely.
I'd say definitely. I know so many people who have been sick and have either lost a loved one or have had a loved one who has been healed and have seen God in the presence of that, or maybe someone who lost their job and was able to find another job. That it's a lot of us have had those closed doors for everyone. And it's seeing God every day in the opportunity of, okay, God, what is this that I'm going through today? Why is this store closed? Why do I have to do this? I think it allows for personal reflection and an opportunity for personal growth and love for one another.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Who do you know that is doing that well?
Oh man, I think I need to do it better.
Okay.
Well, I think of you when we go sailing as a family, that you make time for those things, those leisure activities. But also you work super hard, and I admire that. And some of my coworkers and my friends too, I know, who are still trying to finish school. I mean, what a time to be in school right now and trying to do online classes. You're missing all the social aspects.
there are some that say, I'm not going to do online. I'm just not going to study. I'm not going to do that. And so they opt out for either working or not working. And it's just, man, it's kind of like being paralyzed. I'm concerned about that. So how do young adults pull through this time? How would you say, of the friends that you know, the circle you're in, I mean, you know, if with your permission, I'll share this stuff with our office. But what would you say to church leaders, for that matter? Let's ask that question. What would you say to church leaders who have the passion and the burden to help young adults thrive at such a time?
I'd say it's always reaching out to them, even if there's not a respond or a text. The millennials, zillennials, and everybody in between are so connected. And just because you didn't get a response once doesn't necessarily mean no response. But I think that technology connection, a lot of our churches have been sometimes forced to be immersed in since COVID.
You know, I'm reminded of Pastor Jeremy.
Oh yeah, and his singing videos?
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that he called you or contacted you about doing something.
Oh yeah, he did.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, that was so interesting. I don't remember if that was right before COVID or
was
after.
Was it an email or was it a call?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Oh man, I don't remember. I think I saw him at church. Or no, he actually emailed me at my work email. It was really funny. I was like, this is weird. And he asked me if I would be interested in joining a bell choir, the church bell choir. And I thought, oh goodness, I've not played bells, you know, in over like 10 years or so.
But had you ever have a conversation with Pastor?
I've never talked to Jeremy before in my life.
And yet he wanted you to do this thing?
He did.
And how did you receive that? Tell me the truth.
I didn't. It felt kind of threatening. I wasn't sure. It felt like a commitment, and then again, COVID. So, but once I went, it was like, oh wow, this is a nice place to be with multiple demographics of people. There's a really cool age range. There's people my age, and there's people
my age, right?
Right.
All right. So, but having said that, you haven't missed a practice.
No, not yet. And we have a concert coming up, which I'm looking forward to.
And so translate that experience, if you would, into what that meant, that somebody reached out to you.
Yeah, I'd say it was a fear of getting back to something I used to do. I used to play bells, and I thought, well, I don't know if I'm good. I don't know if I'll mesh well. I don't know if the people will like me. I don't know if this is my place in church. So those were some of the things I really struggled with, and I actually texted some of my friends when he reached out, and I thought, oh goodness, do I really want to do bells again? And so I prayed about it, and I just felt God pushing. He's like, no, do it. And I see it as it's been a blessing to me, but I see it as a blessing to others too through music.
Okay, well, that's good. What do you think that would do for somebody to receive a call from somebody? Would they get turned off, or do you think they would welcome it?
Wow, that's a good question. I'd say that's one of those divine appointments that I think God stirs in a person's life and in their heart. And I think those happen at times, and a person has an opportunity to answer that call. And I think God gives us multiple calls of people who will reach out to us, knock on our door, send us a text.
What would you say to a spiritual leader? Now, they could be an officer of the church, it could be a pastor, they could be just they could be a layperson in church, but they're a spiritual leader. What would you say to them with regards to helping young adults at this time?
Again, I think it's just reaching out and seeing how they're doing, and how they might be able to connect with them or get them connected with someone. I think at this time, small groups are a great opportunity that you can do on Zoom or in a public place in a safe environment, just to kind of come back to that connection of church, but in a separate area. You may not be in the church building, but you might go to a park. You might come to this coffee shop and have a small group. Okay. So I would definitely encourage that as a different form of worship and connecting with young adults.
Well, thanks a lot. Hey, I definitely want to get back to my sandwich. Is that all right with you?
That's fine.
I know you're not eating, but I am.